All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Nice to see you again. Wave to the nice people. No, seriously, I really appreciate you guys coming back for my opinions on these things. It only feels like yesterday that it almost was only just a few months ago that I started at very few subscribers, just a person from the forums writing my opinions and deciding, hey, I'm going to share my commentary in video form. Because I just thought it was going to be easier, and lo and behold, I ended up making a whole studio and a recording rig, and I just here I am today. So welcome, thank you for coming back. Really appreciate you. Okay, so Blessing to Dusk. What do I think? I think, in a nutshell, for my personal enjoyment factor, they are kind of boring for me. And hey, if Chronicle happens to be watching this, and I doubt he is, because at this point the guy's like, I haven't even checked last time what it was yet, like 70,000 subscribers. The guy's ridiculous. I mean, he's basically a legend in the community just for the fact that he's listened to and graphed more gear than I think literally anyone. So his name has already been a staple in the community for those rankings and graphs that he's created for a long time, and a lot of respect for the guy. I mean, I know we as fellow reviewers, even small time guys like me, appreciate how much work goes into trying to measure or record or do any kind of work at all, capturing what we're getting from this stuff besides just talking about it. And so all the respect for him. And in the guy's videos, oh my goodness, have you seen his videos, Chronicle? They're top-notch editing. I don't know if he hires somebody or if he just does it himself. It's just so entertaining. I honestly, a lot of respect there. Now, that being said, Chronicle, if you're watching, or anybody who's a fan of his work, his tuning here, no offense. I'm not trying to offend anybody or say that your tastes are bad. I would never do that. I don't think it makes any sense to antagonize or insult somebody else's personal taste. Because I do, objectively, I get what's going on with these. The Blessing to Dusk, as well as the original Blessing 2s, very similar, are technically very okay. They aren't exactly tribrids, and you can actually see right through this, which is really cool. Actually, I love that you can see through all the parts. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes if there's not much going on inside, it's not very interesting. But in this case, it's kind of cool. And it's not a tribrid. It's not like a 3-driver design that's going to give you electrostatics, treble, sharp clarity with the bass of and resolution of like dynamic or planar paired with it. It's not a tribrid, okay? It's not the fanciest technicals ever. And that's pretty much the story, though, to be fair, with anything that I've ranked on my ranking list at a B area, okay? And like all those others, this couldn't break into the A for me, okay? The tuning could be somebody's A level. The tuning on these being so even and so balanced sounding could be what somebody is desperately looking for in a world that is filled with huge accentuations on the bass. Like, oh, that bass is too bloated. Come on, let's be a little more down to earth about our tuning, that person might say. Or, oh, the treble is just so shrill on some other set. Come on. Or it's too much of both and it's a huge V shape, and they're just like, I just want to hear my music, man. I just want to hear the recording as it was intended, in quotes. And no offense to those people who find the Blessing too. If you happen to be one of them, the person watching, if you happen to love that even tone of the Blessing too. But when I put these on, I gotta be honest to you guys, to how I personally feel. I want more bass. Or I want more treble. I want something to be played with. I want something to shine. When female vocalists come on, I want their vocals to pierce my soul, so to speak. When electronic happens and there's a deep bass line, boom, boom, or a cello being plucked in my favorite jazz album, I want to hear the reverb just fill my headspace and make me feel like I'm present and I'm there and I'm immersed. The Blessing 2 doesn't play risks with anything. It just says, I'm going to play whatever is there, and that's it. And it's like, you know what? You give a clear picture okay? Nothing is harsh. Nothing is overbearing. There's no bloom. There's no recessed anything. Nothing is hidden. Everything is just checked off. It's like you look at the boxes. Is the bass there? Check. Lower mids? Check. Upper mids? Check. Treble? Check. Everything's checked off. Nothing's missing, okay? But I like risks. If you see my ranking list, everything that's ranked high for me is something that takes a risk. Now, if that disappoints anybody, I'm sorry. Again, it's like, everybody likes different flavors of ice cream. I use this analogy all the time to describe opinions, okay? One person likes vanilla, one person likes chocolate. And I'm a person who likes chocolate and vanilla swirl with sprinkles and maybe some cookie dough bits. And the blessing to Dusk, if I could sum it up, again, no offense to you, Chronicle, I'm saying this with no disrespect. It's like plain vanilla ice cream. And it's not even as good as vanilla ice cream can be, because it's not a tribrid. It's not doing anything that's extravagant with its technicals. It's not like the most resolute thing ever. You don't feel like everything's as crisp as it could be with air and separation. It's just these are the definition of B for me. This is like if there was a dictionary definition of what B means on my ranking list, this would be the strongest example of a flat B. I even enjoy the Aria, the Melee more, even though they're half the price or less, simply because, like, here's the Aria, $80. I enjoy it more for its sub bass and other areas in the upper frequencies that it accentuates. To some people, it can sound shouty, but it's exciting at times. The Melee has this low, lush bass area. Love the bass strings on it. And it has the beautiful male vocals that come through. And it's like a pairing between male vocals and bass strings is how I could describe the strengths of it. But it takes, in taking the risk and accentuating those areas, it does recede other areas, or it might not bring you that clarity or that brightness you might want out of other gear. And so people build collections. They have one thing that can do something very well, or I shouldn't say very well, because it's very subjective what you think something does well in. But somebody might buy the Melee to, let's say, enjoy that lower end with male vocals. Maybe their rock music is too harsh for them, so they get the Melee to listen to rock with ease and still feel like they're connecting with that male vocalist and all those instruments like bass guitar again. And somebody might get the Aria for a little bit more excitement and clarity, just a boost of clarity there. And that could be the Aria and Melee could be your entire 2 IEM collection for a budget. It really could. But the blessing is kind of like the middleman that does everything just okay. It doesn't excite me for anything. Now, that's totally just me. For you guys, you might be excited by the fact that it does everything evenly. Not for me. Not for me. Okay, I don't want to ramble on and say the same thing over and over. I feel like I'm being a little redundant, if somebody else might agree with that. So let's just take a quick look. If you just liked my sound talk, just you can close the video now. I'm going to talk about accessories. Please like, subscribe, comment, whatever. And I'll talk a little accessories and what's to come for those sticking by. So with accessories, we find in this box, it was actually like this. It was like arranged where this box was at the top. This case was here, and this held, which is actually kind of nice. They had the buds resting in a foam thing. Not everybody does something to protect their buds or IEM so well. Nice, ample room to hold the stuff. This is actually kind of, I keep saying this. I feel like with every video I say something. This is my new favorite case. I wouldn't say this is my top favorite, but it's like it's kind of up there in my top like 3 or 5 cases. It has a nice feel to it, actually. In real life, it looks darker than it does here because I have a light kind of facing somewhere. So, but the space inside, I really like the volume it has inside, but it still seems small enough that it could fit in your pocket. Although it's just a tad thick, it might not fit in your pocket very comfortably unless you have like really big pockets. But I do appreciate the ample space. It feels nice, a nice felt lining. It comes with these very basic tips that seem to be very narrow bore. And I wasn't completely a fan of how they looked and felt to me. I tried some SpinFit 145s, which this is like my go-to array of tips too. I try to alternate. I have foam tips in case something's too harsh. I have I can't really remember the names anymore. You know, and sorry guys, if you're gonna criticize me for not remembering names of things, I'm sorry. I don't stick on names. I just remember what things do and how they sound to me. Okay, I think these are these Final Type E's. I think. Ooh, I think I'm right. You know, I go through this cycle of stuff. And my favorite silicone tips are these SpinFit 145s, the orange ones here. Medium sized, sorry, is the orange. Blue would be the larger. I kind of, depending on the IEM, sometimes I go between medium and large, if you're curious. And in here, in the mix of the 145s, I also have the newer CP100 pluses from SpinFit. They're a little stiffer on the silicone. I use these if the 145s just aren't fitting right on the nozzles, because the 100s are a little tighter here. So I tried the 145s, the orange ones, on here, and they didn't really change the sound significantly. So excuse this little rant I'm about to say, but if somebody's going to say that like it's all about the tips, you know what? I agree that tips can change the tuning. That's essentially what you're doing when you're changing tips. You're changing the tuning that enters your ear. But I would say the company should send you to the tips that they think genuinely sound the best or close to what the best would sound like anyway. So if you're saying like the tips that they send you is the reason why they don't sound good, I mean, honestly, everyone should be sending if the tips are going to make a big difference, then they should send also the tips that would make a big difference, okay? I think that's a fair thing to suggest, especially if you're going to spend over $100 or, in this case, $200. They should have more than one type of tip. It would be my one criticism on the accessories here, if the tips make a difference. But in this case, to my ear, when I flipped from these tips, the stock that came with, to the SpinFit, my favorite silicone tips for comfort and for general sound quality, I didn't notice a big difference. To be honest, I didn't try everything, but once I tried the SpinFit and I was like, that doesn't sound very different, I kind of stopped there and open my impression video here. Now, for the full review, you guys will be hearing these through foam tips, as all my IEMs are recorded with foam tips in the recording rig, just for consistency and seal in the mannequin's head. Silicone tips just don't seal the bass in very well on the mannequin. But I look forward to the full review then. I hope this wasn't too long. I feel like this was a really long impression, but these are super popular IEMs, so I feel like a longer impression might be appropriate. Sorry, Chronicle, if I said anything mean. I hope nobody's going to take this personally, but it's such a popular one. I feel like I have to say a bunch of disclaimers. But no, they're boring to me. I'm sorry. I like stuff that has some like more panache. I like the timeless. I like the MEST. Even though they're crazy and their tuning is really risky, I like it. All right, guys. See you for full reviews and more comparisons with other stuff that are all over my studio. Bye.